She was born into an artistic family. Albert and Lula, her parents, they moved from Colorado Springs to San Francisco right after the 1906 earthquake to help in the rebuilding effort. They had their son with them there, with the teddy bear. Then they moved to Colorado, or to Glendale, and Albert started building houses there in the craftsman style that was very popular at the time. Mom was born there, and her mother, Lula, was an artist. She was part of the Southern California plein air painting movement. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And she painted with such people who are now quite well known. Sam Hyde Harris and Eugene Frankenet, who did that little sketch of her, of Grandma painting. Meanwhile, in another part of the country, a little boy named Dick Alt was growing up.
Oh, so cute. Look at this guy.
With a fascination for cars and airplanes. Well, Mom had been studying art with her mother and piano, and she attended junior college where she learned her business skills. In the meantime, Dick Alt moved from Pennsylvania to Southern California to attend the Curtis Wright Aeronautical Institute.
Pretty dapper. Pretty dapper.
Mom, as you saw in the picture before, was quite the fashion plate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
Wow.
she was very popular, never lacked for a date. And her first big adventure was when she launched herself into the void and accepted a blind date with with tall, red-headed, and handsome Dick Alt. No, backup.
Just a moment. It's computer.
Uh-huh.
This one.
Tall, red-headed, and handsome Dick Alt. They got married in 1940, and they moved to New York because Dick had accepted a contract with Air Transport Command. You go to the next one. No.
That's too fast.
You're jumping the gun here a bit. They were both living in New York. Dick was flying the Atlantic flights in something that he didn't talk about. It turned out to be supplying the Flying Tigers, flying over the hump, in which 30% of all the airplanes went down. He survived, of course. Mom knew nothing about it. None of us knew anything about it until this operation was declassified. But Mom was pregnant with me by then, and as she puts it, she was just about ready to drop. She put herself on a train, headed back to Glendale, and Dad had just a little bit longer to go on his contract, and as soon as that was shut, he went to Glendale. Next.
No.
And I was born.
There you are.
And
That's so cute.
That was cute.
and they got their first car, which was
Wow.
a Ford.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, but shortly after this, I think I was 2.5 years old, they moved to Hawaii because Dad had a contract flying the Pacific. And while we were there, great adventure for Mom. She learned how to dance hula. She took fabric painting classes. She took cooking classes, all the time raising me. And I was being kind of a wild child, running around our neighborhood to this wonderful, diverse group of people. We had Japanese Ellen Bell, Chinese Catherine, Filipino Tootie, Hawaiian Junior, all these people who lived up in our neighborhood. And at that time, the mother who was home would feed whatever kids were in the yard at lunchtime. They get on the phone saying, "Your kid's at our house, shall we feed it or send it home?" Mom always said, "Feed it." So I got very good about learning who was having what for lunch. Mom also had to be the corporate wife at this time because the flights from Asia had a long layover in Hawaii before they could continue to the West Coast. And at that time, she was she played hostess to Colonel Soriano of the Philippines and to Chiang Kai-shek and Madame Chang. And I remember that visit very strongly.
Just tell how you spilled orange juice in Chiang Kai-shek sang your song.
Yes, he just
just
told you.
told you.
Yes, that happened. Okay. after about 5 or 6 years there, we moved to California, first in Santa Clara, then in Cupertino, which at that time was known as Cupertino Crossroads.
Yeah.
We lived in the first housing development they built there. Dad had a nice big garage, so he got to indulge himself in setting up a workshop, and he built things. He built a 16-foot cabin cruiser, which we enjoyed. Then he built a electric organ for Mom. Then he built an airplane.
This is when men were men. This is when men.
Yeah.
And Mom, of course, had gone back to work as soon as she felt I was old enough to let myself in the house. And she worked in the real estate office. Later, I was out of the country in 1972 when this picture was taken. They had decided to fly the little plane to Chicago to visit relatives. Well, somewhere over at Ottumwa, Iowa, they encountered weather. And Dad was looking around for a hole in the clouds, hoping there's something he could dive through and land. He found a country road, went through it, pulled one of his inimitable landings, and caught the wing on a tree.
Oh.
Spun the plane around.
It was tree's fault.
It was a tree's fault. It was. But of course, any landing that you can walk away from is a good landing.
True.
I was out of the country, so I was spared the white knuckles over this whole thing, but that's a picture that was in the Ottumwa Courier. 1982 came, 10 years after this, and they finally managed to marry off their daughter. Much to their great relief. Shortly thereafter, Mom retired, followed by Dad. And when he retired, he was given this cartoon, which I really love. You can see the pipe organ in the upper left-hand corner, the airplane, and his martinis, for which he was justly famous. Well, he retired, and they decided to move to Carson City. And we didn't understand this. You know, normal parents retire and move closer to their kids, don't they? Was there something they weren't telling us?
I have an idea.
But anyway, Mom says this was the best 10 years of her life. Except for one little thing that was nagging at her. She had always wanted to see Europe. Dad had been there, done that, wasn't interested in ever going again. So I put the pressure on Dad one day, and he turned around and he said, well, why don't you and Alex take her? And I said, seriously, you wouldn't mind? No. So we took her off to France. And she had always wanted to know where this picture was taken. Dad is in it. Let's see if I can do this.
Right there.
Oh, you can do it, great, yes.
That's there.
Yeah.
And this is Juliet Child, somewhere here. That's Juliet Child. Yeah. Juliet Child. She was working at the Denver OSS.
He ferried her over the hump to Burma. Anyway, we took her to Paris, and one of the first couple of days we were there, we went to the Trocadero because we recognized that curved wall. And as luck would have it, instead of Dad and the American flyboys, there was a bunch of French flyboys. So I talked them into having a picture taken with her. And from there, we rented a car.
With a driver?
Yeah, Mom. And traveled down to the south of France and had a great time. And then a couple of years later, when the wall came down and the Soviet Union crumbled, Alex had the chance to go back to Kiev to visit his childhood friends. Well, I sent him without me. I didn't want him having to worry about translating for me. And meanwhile, Mom and I went to France. We got on a barge and spent a whole week on a barge in Burgundy.
Oh, fantastic. That's very cool.
To drink her wine.
It looks like some Cabernet.
And then we wandered down in the south of France, waited for Alex, went to Spain, had a great time. And around this time, Dad had passed away, so Mom moved to the Villages, which she loves. She's met so many good friends there. She still had the urge to travel, so we took her with us 3 times.
One time she go to
Brazil.
To the
Twice
Cousins.
and
to visit her.
Came from Brazil.
Twice she sat for Carnival, all night long.
Wow.
So excited. The third time, we took a cruise down around the bottom of South America. and up top
Straight to
here.
Magellan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Alice, yes. You can see here we are in Ushuaia. And after that, Mom continued to travel with friends. She took various other cruises with people from the villages or with other old friends. And that kind of brings us up to today, her first 100 years as a world traveler. I'd like to introduce to you Angela.
So my name is Angela Tirado. I'll be serving your dinner later. Multitasking.
I like that. Yeah.
No, I'm actually known as the voice of San Jose. I sing everywhere, and I'm also a community advocate. And so today is very, very special to me. I actually met Aurelia, Lorraine's friend, and she mentioned, you know, I have my friend who's having her 100-year birthday. And even now I get chills, you know, just doing something like this is more than special. I mean, I'm in awe. I really am in awe. And I wanted to bring the gentleman who actually named me the voice of San Jose. He's actually he was a council member for District 2, and he is now an assemblyman for the district. His name is Ash Kalra. So I'd like to invite him to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to Angela for letting me know about this. I agree, it's very special. You think you're celebrating a birthday, but it's not just celebrating 100 years. As you see, it's a quite remarkable journey. And as I'm approaching the half-century mark, I hope to be able to live a full life like that. And very clearly, you have many years to go, which is great, because you have, it seems, a lot of family and friends here that you enjoy your time with. And the villages are fantastic. And one of the things I love about the villages is it is a village. You get to meet so many friends and go on trips with them, build these great friendships. I think the villages is something that is unique. Now that I've been in Sacramento, and I talk about I always brag about my district, brag about San Jose, and the villages is something I brag about, and I think it's certainly because of people like Loraine that I can brag so much about my community. And being born in Glendale, my colleague Laura Friedman is from Glendale, so I'm going to be back in Sacramento, back in the assembly on Monday. So I'm going to let her know. We're going to take some pictures. I'm going to show her and say, hey, this is Glendale born, but she's now San Jose.
Yeah.
And you're in the right place, because there are very few places in this city where we can find a building older than you are to celebrate you. But this is a beautiful place, the Hayes Mansion, right? Built in 1905. And so if you think about that, it's actually appropriate. A building with so much history and so much life still today to celebrate this incredible birthday. And so I want to thank you for inviting me to be able to wish you, Loraine, a happy birthday. And it's very clear that you've built quite a community, a loving community around you. And that speaks a lot about who you are as a person. And so I want to thank you for being who you are. Thank you for allowing me to share in this moment with your friends and your family. I do have a certificate of recognition. I mean, it's really a very small token to recognize a century, but the reality is I think that I get probably more out of giving this than you receiving it. So thank you so much. You'll send me pictures, right?
Yes, I will. Okay.
Thank you.
There we go. Ready? Look, Lorraine over
Okay.
here. Lorraine. 1, 2, and 3. Cute. One more. 1, 2, 3. How cute can I want to be here all day too? That's so cute. So thank you again, and it doesn't stop there. There's one thing, and I think you guys have your toast. So I came here today to share. God gave me the talent, and I want to be able to share it with Loraine all your years. So I want to sing happy birthday to you, and we're going to raise a toast to you, okay?
Here.
Here we go. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear
Loraine.
Happy birthday to you.
100 years.
Here.
Awesome.
I'll drink to that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
That was great. I want to see it. Nicely done.
If I may, a couple of more words, and after that we'll continue drinking. 100 years, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's serious. It's like 250s. But what is more important, how many people do you know who has birthday, which people specifically attend from 3 continents?
Yes.
And greetings from 5 continents. Mom, your life is not wasted. You have a great life and many, many more.
Thank you all for coming. My friends and family. So good to see you here. As many years as I've had and more, and in good health. Thank you.
Good neighbor. Yes, loving good neighbor. Thank you, Loraine. You're my inspiration. You really are.
Gotta take a selfie and then get a picture too.
And right now.
Here we go, ready?
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I don't know how.
Easy.
All right, thank you, everyone. That's
Ah.
our part of the show.
That was very nice.
Well done.
Nicely done.
And many more.
Thank you so much.
You can
I
look
live
me
in,
up.
I live in Santa Cruz.
Oh, I sing in Santa
lives
Cruz
with,
too.
Oh, you do?
I can be the voice. I was the voice of Oakland.
I figured as much.
By choice. By choice. So you want,
Wherever you want me to go.
very independent.
Voice of crazy ex. Well, and
I
that's
know.
my favorite because that's the whole
What did you phrase up
She's fiercely.
Yeah, against that. That was very nice.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Very nicely
You
done.
did a good job.
Joyce. Whoa.
I really enjoyed his speech.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Hear the voices.
Yeah, he lived in the village. Yeah, it was well done. I thought he did.
Let's go right for these.
So your friend.